tell us a bit about what this place is and what you're running, what your archive is.
Okay, well, this is the Black Panther Party archive. This room is our archive room. I keep a lot of material here. People come here to study. Like I said, I had a student fly in from Paris. He spent like 4 or 5 days in Sacramento, specifically to sit down and go through some of the papers I got. Now, in our archive, these right
Tell us
here,
the name of your archive.
It's About Time. It's About Time is also the name of our organization. So, but our archive is called It's About Time Archive /BPP, right? So, one of the things when I started collecting as a young person, before my days with the Black Panther Party, I was a collector. I had coin collections, stamp collections, comic book collections, baseball card collections. I mean, extensive stuff, right? So all that was left behind. Went off to college and to be a Panther, but I knew how to collect stuff and maintain stuff. So in 1995, when the archives, Huey Archives, was sold to Stanford University, it angered a lot of ex-members. For now, this archive is not in this city for people to enjoy. It's on this campus down on the peninsula. And Stanford is big. I mean, you can get lost on Stanford. I mean, seriously, they got 5 museums there alone. No, 5 libraries, different libraries. So, anyway, so I said, I'm going to start an archive. And so what I started doing was asking Black Panther Party members what they had. And I started building from there so we can at least have stuff for our own kids. Because we didn't have stuff for our own kids coming up. So in 1998, I start It's About Time BPP website. So I start compiling information, videos, interviews, Black Panther Party newspapers, what Panthers are doing across the country, because our legacy is still alive. We got people in Houston doing Panther stuff, you know. And so what I did was centralize everything and make this website. So if a person wanted to know what the Panthers were doing in Chicago, they could click in on that or find out what the Panthers are doing in LA and so forth. So we started the website. So I started collecting material. So during the Black Panther Party time, there were 485 issues of the Black Panther Party newspaper. So I started collecting newspapers. In this file cabinet here, I have 450 issues of the Black Panther
Can you
Party.
show us an example of the newspaper?
Yeah, it will in a second.
Sure.
Okay. And so, so these are some of the issues of the Panther paper. Okay, out of 485 issues of the Panther paper, if you were to go to eBay /Black Panther Party newspaper, you will come across Panther papers from $100 to $250, right? So a Panther paper is very expensive because of the quality of the newspaper compared to other newspapers at that time. This right here was our 10th anniversary issue of the Black Panther Party newspaper, right? So that was an early issue of the Panther paper, right? So this is another issue of the Panther paper. This is a special on Bobby Hutton, right? This right here is an issue from 1974. This is when they were working on the city center, the BART Center downtown Oakland. This is when that still was the project. The Center Replacement Housing 1, People's Victory. The Black Panther Party, with other concerned citizen groups, sued Caltrans and the state for fair housing because they had took people were staying in these hotels, right? And they used eminent domain as a weapon to get these people out of their houses. So we sued them for replacement housing for these people, and we won. And so if you go on 4th Avenue and San Leandro Boulevard, there's a big housing project there. Not a project, but a housing thing there. And that was built because we won this for those people back in those days. Right? All the time, the Black Panther Party is trying to educate people. Are you getting your 2 hours leave without pay? Black Panther Party exposes California employees negligent in giving voting time to workers. Right? This is some unknown fact that people don't know, that your employee is supposed to give you time off to go vote, but they don't. We exposed that to the Panther paper. Now, this is the early issue of the Panther paper. This is when Hugh was in jail. This is 1968, June 10th. Right? This is the 10-point program in an illustration form. Now, this 10-point program, the Black Panther Party main job was to educate people. Now, this is the 10-point program in print, right? And this is appearing in comic form, which young people and people who can't read could easily understand what these images mean. Because the black community was not so a reading community. So black people learned in many other type of manners, right? So that as well, people getting free food, organizing self-defense groups, letting people know these are all guns you can go to the gun store and buy. None of these are illegal guns. If you want a gun to protect your house, your family, and so forth, Black Panther Party bringing education. We're talking about anti-imperialism. Black people didn't know what that word was. We had to break it down to them. That's like somebody coming in and stealing your property and taking all your resources from you and not giving you no money for it. You know how they did that Native Americans? Soon as you show them that example, they said, yeah, because that's what they did to them. They can see that, and stuff like this. Lincoln Hospital, an example. This hospital was not serving the needs of the people. So Brown Berets, young Lords and Panthers took over this hospital, brought in their own doctors and stuff like that. They took it over and held it for a number of weeks until they was forced to give it back. And then they had to improve it because the Panthers then had did so much improvement in there. They brought in expert doctors and stuff because people would donate their services to the party, and the party would take them to Lincoln Hospital and they would do surgeries and stuff like that. Because this is mostly a Puerto Rican area, they wouldn't get the service that they deserved. They would get dogged, right? So also in the party, these two sisters, Shelley and Brenda, they were arrested and taken to jail by this congressional Congress. They wanted to know how many Panther papers were being sold and how much money we had in the bank because it was part of our treasuries and stuff like that. So the paper was always an advocating for people's rights. It's also a way to find out what people are doing in other geographical areas to combat common problems that you might have. Because one of the rules of the Black Panther Party was that every chapter or branch had to send in articles to the newspapers.
And what was the newspaper called, Mr. Billy?
It was called the Black Panther Party newspaper, the Black Community News, right?
And it was being distributed all across the country.
Yes, it was being printed in San Francisco and shipped out across the country. We had a whole crew just to deal with that. My next door neighbor, who was distribution manager of the Black Panther Party newspaper, that was his job. To make sure that the Panther paper came out on Wednesday, that the paper got out on Wednesday, that people would have it by Thursday, right? So if we had to send it to Chicago, New York, all the major companies, we would have that paper on the plane by 6 or 7 o'clock Wednesday night. They started printing the paper about 4 o'clock, but the paper started growing so big, it was the #1 black newspaper, weekly newspaper in America.
Do you know at its highest point how many people were reading it?
We were cranking 250,000 newspapers out. Those are newspapers that were sold out in the community. But a newspaper, who knows how many times people read a newspaper? If you go to the barber shop or go to the nail salon shop, if your turn's like 3 or 4 turns away, you might read that paper. If you're 2 or 3 people ahead of you, and all day long, maybe 10 people read that same newspaper, right? So you can't tell what a newspaper, how many people read the paper. Just like, a daily newspaper in the house, you might read it for one section, your son might read it for the sports, and your husband might read it for the stock market, stuff like that.